The first thing Eli Carter noticed about the alien ship was that it was bleeding light. Not fire. Not smoke. Light, thin, violet streaks leaking from fractures in the hull as the vessel limped out of hyperspace and crashed into the upper atmosphere of Rhea 9. To the untrained eye, it looked like a dying star falling toward the desert planet. To Eli, it looked like a nightmare wrapped in impossible technology. He dropped his wrench. The ship hit the ground 20 kilometers away, the impact rattling Eli's small repair outpost and knocking dust from the ceiling. Tools clattered. A warning siren howled once, then died. The desert went quiet again, as if holding its breath. Eli stood there for a long moment, heart pounding, staring out through the cracked viewport at the horizon. "Great," he muttered. "That's new." Rhea 9 was supposed to be forgotten. That was the whole point. No governments, no wars, no alien politics. Just a scorched rock, a junkyard of abandoned trade routes, and a handful of humans like Eli who fixed what no one else wanted to touch. He should have stayed inside. Instead, he grabbed his coat, his old plasma cutter, and a battered rover that barely held together, and drove toward the crash. The ship was massive up close. Elegant, even in ruin. Its surface wasn't metal, not quite. Something between crystal and living stone, etched with symbols that pulsed weakly as if in pain. And standing around it were bodies. Alien warriors. Eli slowed the rover to a stop, swallowing hard. They were tall, armored in silver-blue exocets, weapons still clutched in clawed hands. Every one of them was dead. Some bore scorch marks. Others looked collapsed, as if their insides had simply shut down. "These are the best," Eli whispered. He had heard rumors of the Aurelian Empire, an ancient civilization whose warriors were bred, trained, and augmented from birth. Entire planetary defenses surrendered at the sight of them. Yet here they lay, defeated by something Eli couldn't even see. A hatch near the center of the ship hissed open. Eli raised his cutter, hands shaking. A figure stumbled out and fell. She wasn't armored like the others. She was smaller, draped in torn ceremonial fabric that shimmered like liquid moonlight. Her skin was pale gold, faintly luminescent. Delicate markings traced her temples, flickering erratically. Blood, dark and iridescent, stained her side. She tried to rise. Failed. Eli was already running. Her eyes snapped open as he knelt beside her. They were enormous, opalescent, filled with pain and fear. "Easy," he said instinctively, forgetting she wasn't human. "Don't move. You're hurt." She said something in a language that sounded like music breaking apart. Eli winced. "Right. Of course." He scanned her wound. It wasn't a blaster burn. It looked like feedback damage. Energy poisoning. The kind that came from overloading systems not meant to fail. "You the pilot?" he asked softly. She stared at him, then slowly shook her head. A symbol on her chest flickered, a crest more ornate than anything on the ship. Eli's breath caught. "Oh hell," he murmured. "You're royalty." She nodded once. The alien princess. And whatever killed her warriors was still out there. The ship shuddered suddenly. A low hum rose beneath Eli's boots, deep and wrong. The princess's eyes widened in terror. She grabbed a sleeve with surprising strength and spoke a single word, urgently. He didn't understand the word, but he understood the meaning. "Yeah," he said grimly. "I hear it too." The enemy revealed itself as a distortion in the air, a ripple that bent light and sound, crawling toward the ship like a living shadow. Eli's implants screamed warnings. Every sensor on his wrist pad flatlined. "That's cheating," Eli muttered. The Aurelian warriors had fought it and lost. Eli had no weapons that could touch it. but he did understand machines. Okay, he said, hauling the princess to her feet. We're going inside. Your ship's dying, but I might keep it breathing long enough. She hesitated, looking at the fallen warriors. Her people. Then she looked at him and nodded. Inside the ship was chaos. Systems flickered between states of existence. Gravity shifted. Walls pulsed like veins. Eli had never seen technology like this, but beneath the alien elegance, he recognized the fundamentals. Energy flow. Feedback loops. Failsafes overridden by pride. They built this to never retreat, Eli realized. Never shut down. That's why it's killing itself. He dragged her toward the core chamber, ignoring alarms that meant nothing to him. Behind them, the distortion pressed against the hull. The ship screamed. Eli slammed open the core access. "What are you doing?" the princess asked suddenly, in perfect English. He nearly jumped out of his skin. "You speak English?" "I am learning," she said weakly. "Your mind is allowed." "Great," he panted. "You pick now." She managed a faint smile. "You are different from the others." Story of my life. He ripped open a panel and stared at the energy lattice inside. It was overloaded, cascading in recursive loops. "Aurelian design flaw," he muttered. Too proud to include a hard reset. The princess frowned. A retreat is dishonor. And dying stupidly is worse. Eli snapped, then paused. "No offense." She considered that. Slowly, she shook her head. "None taken." Eli rewired the core manually, bypassing entire ceremonial subsystems. Alarms escalated. The ship fought him. "Come on," he growled. "I'm trying to save you." The distortion punched through the outer hull. The princess cried out as the ship bucked violently. Eli made a choice no Aurelian engineer ever would. He pulled the kill switch. Everything went silent. The distortion screamed. A sound felt more than heard, then collapsed in on itself, starved of energy. The ship went dark. So did the princess. Eli caught her as she fell. For a terrifying moment, nothing happened. Then the emergency systems flickered back online. Simple, crude backups Eli had jury-rigged from the wreckage of his own rover. The ship breathed again. So did the princess. She stirred, eyes focusing on him. "You shut it down," she whispered. "Yep," Eli said tiredly. "Killed the power. Starved the thing. Not very heroic, but it works." She stared at him as if seeing him for the first time. "My warriors fought with honor," she said softly. "They died." Eli swallowed. They did everything right. Sometimes right isn't enough. Silence stretched between them. Then she bowed her head to him. "I am Princess Sailira of the Aurelian throne," she said. "And you saved my life." Eli scratched his beard awkwardly. "Eli Carter. Mechanic. I charge by the hour." She laughed, a clear, bell-like sound that echoed through the broken ship. They stayed hidden for 3 days. Eli stabilized the ship enough to mask its signature. Sailira healed slowly, her strength returning with each passing hour. She watched him work, fascinated by his crude tools and improvised solutions. "You break many rules," she observed. "Rules break people," Eli replied. "I fix both." When Aurelian rescue forces finally arrived, they came in force. Warships, elite guards, banners blazing across the sky. They knelt before Sailira. They stared at Eli. The commander's voice was cold. "You disobeyed protocol, princess. You entrusted your life to a human." Sailira stepped forward. "He did what our greatest warriors could not," she said clearly. "He saw what we could not. He saved me when honor failed." She turned to Eli. "The Aurelian Empire is in your debt." Eli blinked. You got a payment plan? Because I'm gonna need a new rover. She smiled, then did something that shocked every Aurelian present. She took his hand.
Come with me, she said.
Teach us what you know. Eli looked at the desert, his outpost, his quiet, forgotten life. Then at the stars.
Yeah, he said.
I think it's time I upgraded. As the ships rose into the sky, whispers spread across the galaxy. They had sent their best warriors. But it was a human mechanic, armed with nothing but stubbornness and broken tools, who saved the alien princess and changed the future of 2 civilizations forever. The journey to the Aurelian capital took 11 days. Eli had expected chains, interrogation rooms, maybe a polite execution once he'd outlived his usefulness. What he hadn't expected was a private chamber overlooking a living city that spiraled upward like a crystal reef, nor the way every Aurelian he passed inclined their head, not deeply, but noticeably.
Respect.
Uneasy. Curious. Princess Celira recovered fully during the voyage. Her strength returned faster than Eli thought possible, though he noticed how often she stood silently at the viewport, watching the stars slide past. Grief sat with her like a shadow that never quite left. They will honor my warriors, she said one night, breaking the quiet. Statues.
Songs.
Perfect remembrance. That won't bring them back, Eli replied gently. No, she agreed. But it will prevent us from asking why they died. Eli looked at her. That's dangerous. She met his gaze. That is Aurelian. The high conclave convened beneath a dome of living light. Elders, generals, scholars, beings whose lifespans spanned centuries, watched Eli like he was a malfunctioning component dragged into sacred space. They reviewed the recordings, the battle, the distortion, the warriors falling one by one. Then Eli, rewiring, cursing, breaking tradition. A murmur rippled through the chamber. You deactivated a royal vessel, one elder said coldly. It was that or let it kill her, Eli shot back. Your systems were eating themselves alive. You presume to judge Aurelian design? I fix broken things, Eli said. Doesn't matter who built them. Silence followed. Then Celira stepped forward. Our empire has not lost a princess in 4,000 cycles, she said, because we believed strength alone was enough. She gestured to Eli. He saved me not with force, but with humility, with adaptability, with the courage to admit our perfection was flawed. The conclave shifted uncomfortably. Eli muttered, I wouldn't go that far. Celira smiled faintly. The entity that destroyed my warriors feeds on rigidity, she continued. On systems that cannot bend. It will return, and when it does, honor alone will not save us. A single question echoed through the chamber. What do you propose? Celira turned to Eli. We learn from him. Eli became an anomaly. Not a guest. Not a prisoner. A consultant. He tore through Aurelian schematics with a mechanic's blunt honesty, pointing out feedback traps, single-point failures, ceremonial redundancies that served pride instead of survival. Some engineers were offended. Others were fascinated. Slowly, quietly, changes began. Ships gained manual overrides. Weapons gained failsafes. Warriors trained not just to advance, but to withdraw, to adapt, to live. And through it all, Celira remained close. Not as a ruler above him, but as someone listening. One night, standing beneath the capital's artificial sky, she asked, Do humans fear being wrong? All the time, Eli said. We just learned early that pretending otherwise gets us killed. She nodded thoughtfully. Then perhaps that is why you survive. The entity returned 6 months later. This time, It did not find a rigid empire waiting. It found chaos, decoys, power blackouts, ships that retreated, then struck from unexpected angles. And at the heart of it all, a human mechanic in a command chair, sleeves rolled up, barking orders no Aurelian doctrine had ever contained. The entity screamed as its energy source collapsed. Not in rage, in confusion. It had never learned how to fight something that changed. When the battle ended, the Aurelian fleets stood intact. For the first time in history, they had won without losing everything. The coronation was quiet. Sailira stood before her people, radiant in living light, her voice steady. "We will remain strong," she declared. "But strength will no longer mean inflexibility. We will remember our fallen not only with honor, but with wisdom." She looked down at Eli. "And we will remember the human who taught us that survival is not weakness." The chamber bowed. All of it. Later, away from ceremony and expectation, Sailira found Eli preparing a small shuttle. "So," she said softly, "you are leaving." Eventually, he admitted, "I was never meant for thrones." She studied him. "You changed an empire." "Yeah," he said, "but I don't belong to it." A pause. "Then where do you belong?" she asked. Eli looked at her, really looked, "At the place where I can still break things that need fixing." Sailira smiled, sadness and hope intertwined. "Then go," she said. "But know this, Eli Carter." She took his hand, her touch warm and steady. "You will always have a home among the stars." As the shuttle departed, carrying a human mechanic back into the wide unknown, the Aurelian Empire watched in silence. They had sent their best warriors. They had lost them. But in their place, they gained something far rarer. The courage to change. And somewhere in the endless dark, a story spread from world to world. That sometimes, the fate of empires does not rest in the hands of kings or soldiers, but in the grease-stained hands of someone willing to admit,